Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I wanted to have a kind of a more extended conversation with you about some items that I've mentioned before, but I want to go really deep as it relates to the fact that the world is changing rapidly and we have all kinds of events, circumstances that are taking place around us that may cause emotional agitations and and in the process cause us to feel disempowered and go into fear. Now, I don't want to characterize that the entire process of passage or transition into the new earth is made only of fear experience. It is actually made of peaks and valleys. There are moments where the energy is so high and so beautiful that you feel euphoric and ecstatic, as if you are not even on earth anymore, and that you feel so blessed and so connected to, and with certainty to higher and more graceful energies. Now, it is my hope that when you're in those kind of moments in the peaks, that you're also attempting to share them to the techniques that I had shared with you the last few classes, that you're attempted to share the light, the peace, the serenity, and the neutrality that you know with everyone in your circle of influence. But certainly at moments when you are in the valleys, when you feel besieged by all kinds of external circumstances that make you feel disempowered, afraid, and not knowing which way is up, feeling, um, uh, having grief or feeling sense of loss, or whatever the emotions that's being triggered by the archons at the moment, you should be at that moment not broadcasting. Instead, you should be focusing on yourself, trying to figure out what the circumstances surrounding your disempowerment are, because it's a teaching module. Now, it could be that in some instances you cannot figure it out by yourself, meaning that the triggers are so high. And I'm going to share something personal with you. Up to the beginning of COVID, the January, February of 2020, I never really experienced the lows the way I'm experiencing them now, where emotionally I start to loop and the same emotion keeps looping for several days. Negative emotion. I never had that. For the most part, I felt for the past 15 years that I was pretty level-headed and I had a sense of clarity most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So this is actually allowing, this opportunity is allowing me to engage with a part of my subconscious mind that was not visible to me up to that point, and therefore learn deeper lessons, discovery more brokenness inside of me that I was unaware of. And and again, this I, thank God that I know when my consciousness is in that mode and I see myself looping and thinking the worst and looping, and I have to say to myself, this is not normal. I'm being pushed, I'm being influenced. This is not normal. I need to calm down. I need to calm down. And I made no essential decision during those times, because whatever decision I make will be a knee-jerk reaction or a trigger to whatever it is that my consciousness is being bombarded with, and it will be the wrong thing to do. It will have no wisdom in it. Whatever I say, and particularly now with Mercury retrograde, you have to watch your words, what you say very carefully, and the action that you take could have negative consequences, and you could easily flare up and do something that you might regret at some little point and realize that it was a mistake. So having said all of this, one of the things that I do when I feel that disempowered, and it's hard for me to do because I'm kind of like, I take responsibility for everything. I'm a Capricorn. I want to do everything myself. I want to climb the mountain. I want to, I want to do everything of my own will and volition. When you are in those kind of circumstances where you're looping, you need to ask someone else for help. Be it a friend, a family member, a teacher, a spiritual being that you're connected to, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Master Jesus, Mother Mary. You need to ask for help. Because where you are, because you're literally being pushed by a malevolent principality to emotionally react in that manner, you need the grace of a being that's superior to them to disconnect them. Now, I've done several meditation and teaching on how to remove the negative influence of the archon. What happened is that, I'm be honest with you, even for me, when you're in this kind of circumstances, you will not remember that these teaching or the recording that I had done that you have or even there in your library, because I don't remember them. Okay? There is a kind of amnesia that they also create, a fog, an undecisive fog. And it's one track mind. I need to do this. I need to do this. And this is happening to me. I need to, and because it's a huge trigger, you need the intervention of a celestial being to give you the mercy and the grace to release this pressure, so that you can begin to perceive it in this scheme of peaks and valleys and understand that this is not a permanent state. Whatever valley that you're on at the moment, it's not a permanent state. And more importantly, it's an illusion. It's Maya. And so, and for that, it requires that you pray. It requires that you have a connection to these beings, or if you have a teacher that you can call, or somebody who you trust, who has a lot of wisdom, it may help you to actually articulate what you're feeling and be honest with your feeling and be sincere. And as you articulate them, it may help unravel the linchpin and make you realize that what you're feeling is irrational and it's not necessarily based on facts. And now, when you're in the highs, when you're in the peaks, when the circumstances have shifted, and all of a sudden you feel this high, this connection to God and to spirit that is so palpable and so powerful, and you feel so aligned to spirit, it is my hope that you're broadcasting it. Do not broadcast when you're in the valleys, because when you're in the valleys, if you try to broadcast and you release with the peace, the serenity that I know, or be gone time and space, and you project it out, what you're projecting is the disempowerment that's in you. You are in no way, shape, or form capable of broadcasting at that moment. This is the reason why I'm sharing this technology with you. I've been with me for a very long time, and having worked in your spiritual psychology for a long time, and your emotional and social and spiritual intelligence, you have the vocabulary to be able to handle something that's that nuanced. What I'm going to explain to you tonight is not complicated. It may sound complicated, but it's not. It's the same principles that we've used over and over again, but it's going to be nuanced. The principle is going to be used with higher stakes, with higher things involved. It's the same principle. And the principle is this, the basic of it is this: enlightenment exists in a thin line between surrender and doing. And the key to it is for your consciousness to be able to determine when is the time to do and when is the time to let go and to surrender. In Buddhism, enlightenment comes with non-attachment. So you have to somehow, even when you're in the valley and you're being pushed, you have to realize that whatever the trigger may be for you emotionally, not only is it an illusion, but you also have an attachment to something. Because the way these forces, these negative forces come in, is that they push and they emotionally create a kerfuffle with an emotional back door, okay? A blind spot that you have to a real emotion that's a pet peeve for you. And then they inflate it. And they make it sound and feel like it's like the end of the world. But if this is not done, you might as well, I'm exaggerating, but jump off a bridge. So the idea is for you to understand and have the discernment to know that 15%, I've already went over the protocol with you about this. You ask yourself, when you're feeling these feelings, is it 100% mine? Okay? And the answer will come back, no, it's not 100% yours. Okay, what percentage is mine? 10%, 5%, 15%, whatever it is, it will pop up. And the first thing that pop up is correct. Don't second guess yourself. The second thing that shows up is wrong. And once you have that information, then you can say, okay, now I had shared this with you. And in the recording that I'd done with you, I did a whole series on the Alcon. And in the recording I had sent with you, if you can find them in your library, all of that information is there, which is you have to confront these forces from a place of sovereignty. You cannot come with the fear or the rage or the anger while you're trying to fool me, you deceiver, blah, blah, blah. And I'm so angry. I felt so fine a few days ago. If you go with that kind of rage, they will use it against you. Any emotion they can corrupt. The only thing they cannot corrupt, because they were designed originally to obey and protect us as human beings, you're gonna face them by saying to them, I see you. When you think of the feelings and the emotion, 15 or 10% is mine. The rest is not mine. 90% is not mine. I see you energetically. I can see where it is. I see you. And I have my eyes fixed on you. And the reason for this is that these forces work, they are masters at camouflage. When you uncloak them, they cannot work. Their manipulation cannot work. So when you say, I see you and I have my eyes energetically, wherever you feel the 90% to be, I have my eyes fixed on you, that usually causes them to withdraw. And moreover, you can call upon Archangel Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael and ask them to cleanse and purify you and your DNA and all parts of you that is being influenced by this set of circumstances. And that way you can be disconnected to it. If you happen to have the recordings that I had done, which are excellent channeling I had done at the time, you can put them on. And for me, when I'm going through this, I don't even remember I had the recording. I have this amnesia. I remember it after the fact. But I do pray, and I do call upon higher celestial being to help me. And the help shows up, and I'm able to move through it. You have to be very cognizant okay, you cannot, okay, we all have identities. In order for you, for example, to broadcast when you're in the high, the, let's say, may the peace, the serenity, the love, and the liberation that I know pass on to you, and you project it and you send it out. In order for you to truly broadcast it and have the effect of you releasing the high to the people in your circle of influence, you need to be highly connected to the celestial being that exists in your core. Because your core that we do through a practice that I've been teaching you now, every day you do the universal breath, 12 breath, and then after that you check your core, you do a quick scan and check of your core to find out what you're feeling, if there's any sensation. Sometimes it's euphoric, everything is open. Other times it's like some tightness, some discomfort. You lean on the discomfort, you try to see if they have something they want to share with you, you listen to them, and then after that you do the torsion field. And then you recite the prayers that I've given you. Now, having done this, and if you're doing this on a daily basis, what's going to happen is that you're going to establish, because it's your core, that antakarana does not simply exist in 3D. What you're doing by doing this self-assessment on a daily basis, it will allow you, particularly when you have the high, because the high that you're having are not 3D emotionally ground related. They are 4D, 5Ds, and beyond. That's why the highs are so undescribable. They are beyond the 7th chakra. They are chakra 8 to 15 or 16 to 22. They were way, way beyond. And it's not, there is no language or no vocabulary to describe the ecstasy and the euphoria that you feel when you're in the high. And I want you to understand this, because when you're in the 4D or 5D or 6D, what's happening at the moment is that there's a whole series of celestial hosts, being that exists in those dimensions, who are now blessing you, engaging with you. Although in a 3D perspective, that engagement is not clear. We feel energetically the vibration. We feel energetically the frequency. But that engagement is not clear the same way it is in 3D, the same way you write it on paper. I was teaching a class last week where I was teaching the higher chakras in 4D and 5D, and one student was asking me, and I wrote a chapter on the chakras, and I was describing it by the way I'm describing it now, because there is no language to describe it, and I was describing certain circumstances, what the 4D dimension, the 4D reality looks like to me. And I have to use analogies, I have to give stories, I have to explain, because there is no word. She kept on insisting over and over again. Well, maybe we should write a paragraph, more paragraph and more chapters to describe it, like you described the 7 chakras. But the 7 chakras on earth were connected to feelings and emotions. This is higher chakras. And after several turn of her asking the same thing, I finally said, I've been doing this now for 15 minutes. What you're asking me, I've been verbally saying it to you for 15 minutes now. And then she withdrew. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm telling it to you, but you're not listening. You want something on paper in 3D. You want to make it concrete in 3D, like in a 3D syntax vocabulary. It's not 3D. It's 4D and 5D. And particularly when you go to the 5D, everything there is universal and cosmic and expands in a way that is not comprehensible. by the circumstances and the language and the syntax of a 3D world. We know what we feel. We know the expansion. We know the euphoria. We know how big we are feeling. But you cannot communicate it in language to someone else. Even the language I'm using now cannot compare to the actual expansion. It cannot compare to it. And more importantly, when you're engaging with that, you're going to have the permission, the authority, as you keep engaging and connected to the high and the peaks, you will have the authority and the power so that when you say, be gone time and space, and you project it out, and you put in that torsion field after it's created, let's say, let there be peace. Heal this individual. Provide healing for, whatever it is that you're going to put in there. That intention, when you do this, you will have the power and the authority to vibrate it and to externalize it. Otherwise, anyone else that listening to my videos and watching it and has not done your work that you have done, they will simply be reading a poem. They will simply be reading words, and they will not be able to vibrate it. That vibration comes, that's decree, that the power in that decree comes from a constant dialogue with the being, with that dimension, and with being that exists in that dimension. Remember, the Antakarana connects the four chakras. Think of the entire chakra system column all the way back to God as a necklace. And the beads on the necklace are the various chakras. So 7 chakra in 3D, another 7 chakra in 4D, another 7 chakra in 5D, and so on and so forth, all the way back to God. And it's one string and one necklace, all the way back up. That's your core. Moreover, that core is a hair string in this celestial axis. And the celestial axis is the Antakarana of Lord Melchizedek, who is the soul that animates the entire universe. So when you're saying be gone time and space, what you're doing is that you're claiming your connection and your power in one instant, a snap, to step out of the 3D and enter into the realm of the gods. And more importantly, to externalize it so that you can heal and repair something. That authority comes with practice and with experience. If you're not practicing your daily practice and connecting with the peaks and the valleys, and you're not connecting, and you will not have it. You will read the words, it will have no effect. Or if you try to do it from your ego, it will have catastrophic effect. Something will move out. But since your core and your ego in 3D is not at rest, it's not at peace, it will project something quite negative. And the effect you desire will be the opposite. So we need to be very aware of this. And I'm encouraging you, I'm trying to give you the broader picture to kind of encourage you and make you understand that there is a reason why I am talking about this today. There's so much chaos on the future horizon for the planet, for the people that we know, for all of our friends and our family. And we need to start supporting them. we need to start loving them and care for them. The whole point of ascension, past a certain level of initiation, 8th-level initiation, you can only ascend if you're serving. Service is the key. It's by thinking of others, because you realize others, there is no outside, everyone is you. And when you begin to realize this, you, in a very respectful and non-egotistical manner, you share with others the peace and the serenity, the love that you know if you have their permission. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Pierre, if I could ask you to explain a question about repetitive nature of this command. I know you've said in prayer, if you do not release once you have written the letter, so to speak, and continue to ask for the same uh, the same result of it's like holding on to the letter and never mailing it, right? Now, if you do this command begone time and space, and the desired effect isn't achieved, do you just wait for it? Do you repeat it? Are you doing the same thing that you do with the prayer that you're not releasing then?
Okay, it's a complex, okay, I'm gonna try to do my best to answer it. So if you're doing the command begone time and space and you're not having the effect that you desire, two things could be the reason for it. You don't have the authority yet to project it out. It's not projected out. Or what you're putting in once you've done this, begone time and space, hand out, extended, and then you see the torsion field being created, and then whatever intention you're placing in, you are intending and unintending at the same time. It's not coming from certainty. Do you see what I'm saying?
Intending
In
with the
other words,
result.
once you've done this, if, for example, heal this person, okay, repair, help repair or heal this person, you have to place an intention that's abstract. Give us safe passage, peace on earth. You cannot tie the hand of God by being very specific. Like for example, you cannot say to God, uh, um, at least I would not, specifically, this toenail is hurting me, heal that toenail. You see what I'm saying? You want to put in there something that's more abstract. For example, that would say, I am in pain and suffering in that part of my body. Find a way to repair it.
Mm-hmm.
The language that you use becomes the key. So you need to go in meditation to think about the intention and the wording of what you're putting in. It could be that the wording and what you're putting in is not, and spirit will guide you. When you go in your meditation and your prayer and you're about to do it before you even do the projection and you think of the intention, if it's the wrong intention, it's very hard to explain this. Well, I'm going to try. The spirit, this is what I mean about authority and connection. The spirit and the in the higher dimension never tells me what to do because I have free will. And they respect that. But when I'm intending something, giving the growth that I have achieved so far, that's gonna backfire on me or that's gonna not be beneficial for me. I have a sensation or a wave or something that comes back to me that says to me, or a voice, where you are right now, Pierre, you cannot request this. And I stop. Or it helps me refine the request to find the right language. I'm going to give you an example. You know, I use in meditation all the time. I release all attachment, fear, and control, and I surrender in the great emptiness and endless luminosity. It took me 3 weeks of meditation to get all the pieces of that sentence. They came in pieces. At first, I thought I heard something. The best way I can describe this to you is to John Edward, the sidekick intuitive, used to say that when you hear things from the spirit world, it's like you're standing on the sidewalk and someone is trying to talk to you while they are going 60 miles an hour in a car. You think you hear something, but what you're hearing sometimes is just it's part of a word. And you put in yourself the rest of it. And in this instance, why it took 3 weeks, it's because I was hearing and sensing certain things, and I thought that was it. And when I began to meditate on it and prayer and engage and repeat it over again, then spirit came back, no, Pierre, not that word. Correct this. That's not what I said. That's what I mean about engagement, dialogue. And if you're dialoguing like this with your guides, with your God, or with the being that exists in those higher densities, when you have to vibrate it, you will have the authority. And moreover, they will now have refined the request, the intention, so that when you put it in, it's the exact intention that you need. Did that answer your question, Janice?
Absolutely, very, very much so. And I think part of my problem is that the outstretched hand and the command doesn't have the same kind of power behind it as when you say it. I think I'm a little wimpy on that part.
It's because you have not cultivated enough a connection to the power, to the beings. Because I'm channeling, it's not me. It's the being that exists in that realm.
Hmm.
It's the initiation of the Melchizedek order. I'm not saying it. It's Melchizedek through me that's saying it.
It's interesting. Okay, I have a different perspective then. Thank you.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to go slow with this. I'm trying to expand it because I want you to get this. Because I want you all, okay. So if perchance there's some catastrophic event that's happening around the earth and we need to come work together as a collective, and there will be, and it's not if, it will happen. They will happen. And we will need to be collectively have the same intention and say, begone time and space together and put that intention in to vibrate it so that because consciousness supersedes the laws of nature. But that consciousness has to be pure. And what I'm guiding you into is that if you can do this for yourself at first, and then you'll be able to do it for others, what's going to happen is that when we need to do this together, we will do it, and collectively we will make sure that the changes that are going to occur, sometimes the changes are so catastrophic and so big, I don't have a capability. I'm like, I can't change this. Like when I have these dreams, I'm like, I don't have the power to change this. I'm going to give you an example. And this is the first time as a seer did I understand why God gives me the sight. Because up to that point, I did not want to see anything because everything that I saw, particularly when I'm in meditation, when I see things in meditation, they're typically years ahead in the future horizon. So, for example, what's happening in the world right now with the pandemic, everything else. I saw it in 2015. What happened in January 6th, I saw it in 2014. There are certain things that I saw, but it took a while for them to come. But when I dream of it, it's days and weeks away. I remember 2 years ago, you may not all remember this, I had a dream of a tsunami. And I remember I got so concerned because I saw waves that were 200 feet tall. And the street that I was in, I thought it was Brooklyn at first, and I realized it's a Muslim country because people all have Muslim outfit. Women had their head were covered. So I realized it's a Muslim place. And I didn't understand. It scared me. And I remember talking to all of you, and then I asked you to pray and ask God for mercy. This is the first time in all the years that I've had disability, because all the time, again, when God gives me these sights, it's always some negative thing. And I keep asking God, don't show me something happy. I don't want to see all the negative thing. I have enough. I want to see something fun. So after we prayed for it, prayed for several days, a week and a half later, I'm having lunch with my friend. I described to him that morning as I woke up a second dream of tsunami. But this time, the wave was so low, it was up to my knee. And I was able to get to a higher ground inside the building. And when I got back out, the water had receded. We spoke, we ate. I came back home. It was lunchtime. At 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I opened my my email, my computer. All of a sudden, there was an announcement. Tonga in the Samoa, there was an underground explosion, and that island completely blew up in the air and created a tsunami where the wave was up to your knee. I can tell you for sure that our collective prayer was able to make sure that the landing was softer. And I know more of these kind of things are going to occur. And I'm trying to train because I can't do it alone. It's group work. It's collective rescue. I'm trying to make sure that we're all prepared. And that's why I'm going slow and I'm trying to explain it in a way that will make the connection between you and because you all have been initiated in the Melchizedek order. Lord Melchizedek during the channeling at Wisak initiated all of you. So that initiation gives you the power and the authority to connect to the Antaharana. And when you say be gone time and space, it will be gone. In one instant, you're claiming that connection, and Lord Melchizedek, who is the soul that animates this entire universe in all dimensions of time and space, will banish it for you, and the intention has to be put in. Now, the intention could be not refined enough. It's not the right word because, okay, as a vocalist, you understand this. As a musician, you understand that words have frequencies and vibration. And if what you're trying to resonate and change has the wrong frequency and the wrong vibration, it's not going to work. And the Melchizedek order, the emerald cluster of Melchizedek, all of the beings that are part of it will surround you when they realize your intention, and they will guide you by saying, no, change this word. Not this. It's the wrong thing to request. They never tell me what to do. But when I'm doing something that's going to hurt me or that may not work, they come and they tell me, correct this. Do you see what I'm saying, Janice?
Yes, yes. But here's my I guess, additional question.
Yes.
If you do the command begone time and space, see the torsion field created, and then say the words, safe passage or whatever, you're not doing the command, you're not attaching the command, initial command to any words then at the beginning. Have I got that upside down?
No, 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 no. You need to make sure that you're creating a circle or a measure of God first, and then the command can go in. So when you're doing the begone time and space, you're externalizing the intercorona. Okay? And then the torsion field gets created. You watch it, you witness it with your breath. You have to follow. This is important. You have to follow it with your breath. And then, you see what I'm saying? You have to follow it with your breath.
Right.
And once it's done and it's created, then you put in the intention for the desire that you have.
Oh, I see. So the command, initial command, opens the arena, so to speak.
It creates a doorway, exactly, like a gate.
And then the request
Yeah,
follows once that's
yeah,
opened, and the torsion field uh, solidifies the antakarana, I guess, the connection to source, to Melchizedek. Then then and only then is the timing right.
yes, yes, yes. Then you can put the intention. Okay,
Okay.
if you're doing on behalf of someone, think of them and think of their circumstances. See them inside the space that's created, that has now been created as a measure of God, meaning a circle, a holy circle in which the laws of nature are going to be suspended. And in that circle, I am putting an intention, a desire.
I got it. That's great. Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? When I talk about the measure of God, it's the idea of the rod in Hakma, the rod of the magician. There is no such thing as a straight line in the universe because the universe is wrapping in itself as a torsion field. Everything is a filament that wraps back into itself. So when you strike the rod and you manifest it, big on time and space, and you project it, it's not a rod you create. You create a circle. And that circle is a volume where you're going to create and you're going to put an intention. And that's called the measure of God. Do you see what I'm saying?
So the rod, which we would called the antakarana,
Yes.
is not a rod; it's a circle.
Yes. Nothing in the universe is straight.
Oh, okay.
The idea being that if I had an arrow or a bullet and I shot it in front of me, giving no gravity and no resistance and a continuous velocity, it would return and hit me in my back.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? So when,
Clear.
when I'm so happy you're asking all these questions, Janice. And for the rest of the class, it was going to illuminate a whole bunch of things for all of us. Because once you intend and you project it out and it's created, that's what you're doing. You're creating a sacred space. If you remember, the old magician used to create a circle inside of which they would stand. That circle is the measure of God. If they were invoking a being, they would create a circle and ask the being to manifest inside the circle. They suspend all other laws of physics so that circle become an exception for the desire that you're trying to achieve. That's theurgy. That's ceremonial magic.
That's great. Well, thank you, Pierre, for allowing me to ask all these questions.
No, I'm glad you do because I'm trying to, okay. You know when you know something by instinct in your core and it's so elevated and I'm trying to explain it, by you asking the question, it's allowing other people to actually get to understand it better. Thank you for that.
Okay, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. So if the intention is unclear, as I said, your connection to being celestial, being in that realm, in those realms, will clarify the intention for you. The same way they are clarifying. You know what it is? This is why I'm saying it's nuance. It is the same thing that you're doing when you're doing your query. You're dialoguing and you're asking for assistance and you're listening. So when you ask a question and you say, this is the intention, and then you wait, and then the celestial will come back and say, no, refine this, change this word. Or you wait and you will know it. You will sense it. It's the wrong wording. That frequency and that vibration doesn't work. It's the wrong wording. The desire is there, but the wording, the command I'm trying to place in is the wrong wording. And then you have to wait and listen again, listen as if every cell in your body had ears. In this instance, you're listening to the entire celestial axis. It's the same thing, the same muscle, but now you're listening not just to you internally, to you and to your body. You're listening now to the whole celestial axis, and then it will come back and refine it for you. All of a sudden, a different set of words will show up for you, and then you will know, this is the command. When you try to place it and to place the command, as you have done it so far, Janice, the reason you realize it doesn't work, it's because when you're placing in and you're placing the command, you're placing the wrong wording, and your whole body is telling you it doesn't work. It's the being of that realm telling you that you're using the wrong wording. And if you stay quiet and ask them, then guide me. What is the right wording? And you can wait, it will show up. It's the same muscle of dialoguing and listening. Except instead of doing it to your body and to things that are attached to your subconscious mind, to your archetypes, you're doing it now to forces that are way higher than you. But if you have done it with yourself for so long, doing it with the other beings, it's already in your vocabulary. It's not complicated. That's why I was saying before when I started, it's not that it's complicated, it's more nuanced. You're listening to higher celestials. Now, at times, there may be circumstances, as I said, we're going to be working together. There will be time in the future where we have to collectively come together. And this is why I'm getting you to, I'm initiating this process for you, because there's a learning curve on how to do this, as we're doing today. in the previous classes and maybe some future class again. I need to teach you how to do this the right way. And once you have activated and you know how to do it, when the circumstance presents itself and the world is in crises, we will collectively meet on calls and on Zoom similar to this one, where we can begin to collectively connect and create a measure of God, create an exception, so that the landing of whatever is coming can soften. And we can be of service to humanity, to our brothers and our sisters. Again, once you get a certain level of growth, everything is about service. And if you're not serving, you will not be able to ascend beyond that point. If it's everything is about you and you have secret agenda and it's your ego, you will not be able to move beyond that point. Any other questions or comments about this before I move on to the next topic?
Just want to say my heart sings when you say that, and to be in alignment with that goal is my commitment. If it's I would say just it would be a great honor to be able to do that.
Blessings, blessings. That's beautiful. Thank you, Janice. So what I want to talk about next, aside from intention, I want to talk about identity. Because one of the reasons why, Janice, you're having problem resonating the command be gone time and space the way I'm resonating it, it's because of your belief, the being you think you are is untrue to your actual cosmic nature. What I mean to say is that if you think of yourself, and I've talked about this in other classes, but I'm going to go deeper today. If you think of yourself as being a wife, a husband, a woman, a man, a son, a daughter, if you think of yourself as being an architect, an engineer, a singer, whatever your profession is, or for that matter, an emotional relationship. I am the provider. I am the caregiver. Or for me, being a healer. All of these things are partially true to my nature, but they are really not who I am. And that's the reason why you cannot resonate it when you say it. It's because you're stuck in a lesser identity. You remember the Serapim being a lesser version of God? Well, you're stuck in a kind of Serapim of a lesser identity. And you're not, because when you're commending this, you're commending it you as Melchizedek. And for you to get to that point, you have to really go to multiple ego death. It's not going to be just one, but multiple ego death. If all of these things are true, that you're a woman and that you believe you're a singer, you believe you're this, you're that, or the other, and then all these things have limited you and created straitjacket around you, you have to let go of all of these identities to allow yourself to embrace an emerging vibratory awareness that may not be completely clear, but that's so benevolent and so kind that you know it will transform your consciousness. And that's what you have to lean on. You let behind all of these other things that you know. I'm not the healer. It's not that I'm not the healer. It's that I am not only the healer. You see, initially, they said We were so expensive and so complete, and we were infinity times infinity. We were everything. And as we descended the dimensional scale, we made ourselves small. We shattered and broke ourselves apart. And our wholeness got shattered into pieces. And we created these little fragments of ourselves. Me as an architect, me as a healer, me as a brother, me, me as a man, and these pieces, we hold on to them as if it is the totality of who we are. When in fact, they are just tiny, tiny little speck, like grains of sand of the immensity of our nature. And therefore, it's important for us to uh, uh, let go. Remember, we talked about ascension being the border between that exists between surrendering and doing. We have to let go. We have to let go of all of that. We have to let go of the identity of us thinking that we are, for example, that I'm the healer, because I'm not just the healer. I am much more than that. And for that matter, and I even shared that with you a couple of weeks ago, even the idea that Pierre is the person that's going to train the 144,000 and get us ready to do all this great work for safe passage in the earth, maybe all of this is a false identity. It's an illusion. And therefore, I'm going to let go of that identity even itself. I'm going to surrender all of it into God. I'm going to let God have all of it. Maybe I'm being delusional thinking that this is my purpose and my dharma. I'm giving it to God. I'm saying to God, take all of this away from me. And whatever is emerging, and every time you do this, every time you actively do this, you will feel a profound healing happen in your core. You will not be able to describe exactly what's happening, but you will feel so healed and so much more powerful, because as you let go, the splinter, if you think of your core, your antacorn as being a tree trunk, there were all these false identities that were like sheared pieces that were tilted to the side. As you do this, they will come back and connect back to your core. They will be healed one by, and as you do this energetically, it will feel that you're being deeply and profoundly healed. It will not be quantifiable like math or by your frontal lobe. Okay? Like x, the equation is x equals -5 or plus 28. It will not be quantifiable like that. But you will know energetically that something major happened, shifted in you, and healed you. I would recommend, I know I'm giving you a lot to do. There's a lot of homework. And in the morning, you have your lineup already that you're doing. Maybe when you have a little bit more time on the weekend, it might be important for you to sit down after you do your normal lineup and have a conversation with yourself by asking, who am I to your core? And think of all the various ways in which the various masks and personas that you're wearing to present yourself to the world. Think of all the masks. Or your emotional relationship, or your job, or and I'm going to say something to you. It goes even deeper than just that, because and whatever you find, you release it and surrender it into source by saying, I'm not just this part of this fragment. I am much more than that. I release all attachment, fears, and control connected to this, and I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And take a deep breath, release it, and let it go. And once that is done, you will feel in the retention of your breath, something beneficial and benevolent will come toward you to heal and to repair you. And as you keep doing this, you're going to get more and more connected to very potent and powerful uh, uh, internal healing. And that internal healing will repair the strength and the power of your antakarana. And when you issue the command will release the measure of God outside of you. Now, I've had circumstances in which I had to advise clients, and they're telling me about circumstances in their life and so on and so forth. And energetically, when I look at them, I realize that their karma, their own personal karma, their life should be easy. There's some turbulence here and there, but for the most part, it should be, as they say in the Caribbean, cool breeze, cool breeze. But they're struggling. And part of the struggle, it's because they have attachments to the karma of their family members and the people that they care for. And those attachments are the reason why they are facing all kind of tumultuous circumstances that are causing them all kinds of suffering. So sometime this morning when I was talking about this, there's a student that was talking about the fact that it may be that in some instances we feel that our dharma, our purpose in this life, is to repair the family karma, the epigenetic, or all the dysfunction that existed in families. And God knows my family has its own thing, that epigenetic, and it's your responsibility to repair it. You don't repair it by trying to run after everybody in that family or energetically say, I am big enough and I'm going to pray that. I'm big enough and I'm going to exercise. If it's a demon, I'm going to exercise it out. That's not what you do. You do this, you take the karma. What you do is that you repair and you heal the trauma that's in you so that the trauma no longer affects you. It's not that the past will be erased. It's that the sins of the fathers and of the mothers will no longer infect and cause you blockages that will stop you from evolving into a better version. And what happened from you going forward, the entire lineage is clean because you have now emancipated out of the toxicity. This is how you repair the epigenetic. You don't go in, and I know there are students of mine who are doing this. They go in and they try to pray and do rituals and try to stop, get the families by saying all these prayers and novenas and all that to cast the darkness in the family. You do this, all kinds of things are going to fall upon you. Because now you're linking yourself to it. You're trying to be like the cleanser, and you're trying to clean it. That's not the way you do it. You do it by actually making sure that from your generation forward, by you changing, you make sure that the future generation are not saddled with this anvil and this weight. So it's important for us to understand that nuance because, again, that also can be an identity. That you are the martyr and you're there, and it's the martyr archetype. You're there as the martyr. I'm gonna take a bullet for my family. I'm gonna take a bullet for my friend. I'm there. I'm gonna protect them. That's not protecting. I remember I told you the sacrifice. This idea of the sacrifice is a lie. That's not what God is asking of us. Yes, we serve, we guide other people, but what we do is that we provide them with guidance and we give them guardrail and we walk away. You never engage with the world or with anybody else by taking their burden. That's not what you do. The idea of the lamb is a lie. You don't take their burden. What you do is that you ask higher powers to step in, like God and Christ, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want, to step in and to find the perfect solution set for the circumstances. You don't take the burden yourself and you walk away. It's a nuance. Again, remember, the word for today is nuance. It's a nuance, but it's an important nuance. Any questions, any comments? Finally, I want to add one more thing. The ultimate identity that we have to shed is our own ego. Because when I go into the blessed field, even sometime I go in there, I don't see my body. I'm almost like a ghost or a spirit in this vast and immense white space. And I don't have a sense of a corporal self. But I know I exist. I'm cognizant that I'm conscious. But because I am separated from the blessed field, my ego still exists. What I'm saying is that at some point in the enlightenment process, my ego has to merge and become one. Like Jesus said, the Father and I are one, has to become one with the entire blessed field and embraced as an identity, infinity times infinity. And for that to happen, I have to become a witness to my own ego, myself. I have to become detached to who I am in the blessed field. I have to realize that my own ego in that blessed place is also a false identity. If you can do this, it's not easy to do. Let me tell you, I temporarily can do it, but I cannot do it on a continual basis. If you can do this, you will become an Elohim or a God, because you will have now accepted your universal or cosmic identity. This is deep, deep upper elevated 22nd chakra, 23rd chakra awareness or consciousness.
Yeah. Am I interrupting? Wow. Yeah, that you unloaded a truckload there. My question is, when you say you need to surrender your identity, your ego, is that your personality? And is that personality limited to your corporeal existence? Is that what you mean? And that what is beyond that is not individual, but it is union with all that is. Is that the ultimate identity?
Yes, the ultimate identity is collective awareness. If you
and not the person.
now, it's not that the personality will cease to exist. It will be transformed into something else because what you're doing when you do this, whatever you learn as an individual, because when you're in collective awareness, everything is a potential for manifestation. And the reason for the descent originally was because everything was a potential and nobody had experiential um, uh, knowledge of anything. And that was the reason for the desire to have, to manifest, to become corporeal. Now, when you return back, you're going to divest all of that knowledge back into the collective. And it's something that God is desiring to know completely because God, as an abstract, unmoved mover, does not know. It knows but solution set, potential for endless solution set, but it doesn't have actual physical cause and effect reasons and knowledge that if you do this, this is what happened. And if that happened, this is how you respond. And then over time, you realize that this is the wrong path and I corrected it. All of that stuff that you've done in your descent, billions of years of descending, cascading down and returning, all of that is now added value to the collective. You become an incredible asset to the collective now. Because you're adding all of that knowledge. In other words, Janice, when we finally can do this, God is going to learn through us.
And then once we achieve that reunion,
Yes.
reuniting with the collective, do we cease to exist as
No,
individuals?
you can still exist in 5D, but your connection to the 3D, your connection to the 3D will be different. You will not be the same again.
Can imagine. So you no longer have that ego or that personality. You are
You are an actual manifestation of God on earth.
uh, a very lofty goal.
Yeah. And you know, the word Elohim in Hebrew translated as plural, the gods.
Hmm.
When in Hebrew or in any text, biblical text, they talk about Elohim, they are not talking about, the Elohims are not the angel or the archangels. They are not the same species. They are, in Tibetan Buddhism, they call it the realm of the god. And the gods are like the engineers that understand divine structure, and they assist infinity times infinity into the creation when they exist on earth, into the manifestation of divine structure. Whereas the angel and the archangels and all the other holy hosts are there to create the divine structure. So the engineers are the architects and the engineers. They create blueprints.
Hmm.
Whereas the angel and the archangels are like the contractors.
Hmm.
They are different class of beings. And when you divest, when you're in that state, you typically become. It's funny because in the Bardo Todol, which is the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they talk about reincarnation. Once you pass transition and you go to the 49 days of the Bardo, where you experience all kinds of things, there comes a point where you're going to reincarnate if you have not achieved enlightenment, if you have not divest yourself like I'm talking about now. Because the whole point of the Bardo is to figure out a way to remember that the luminosity, the white light in the white space, that immense space, is you. That's the whole point. And the moment you acknowledge this, you become enlightened. And they said in the Tibetan Book of the Dead that recognition of that and enlightenment are one. So if you fail to do this, you're going to reincarnate. And they talk about the reincarnation, the bottle of reincarnation, and they talk about the bottle of birth and how it goes and all that and so on and so forth. And they talk about the different realm you could incarnate with. The realm of the jealous God, the realm of the demon, the realm of humanity, the realm of the animals, the realm. And then they talk about the realm of gods. And of all the realm, all the other realm, they try to give you still a reminder that you can become enlightened at the last minute. You can resist and become enlightened by doing this thing. But the only part that they differ in the book that says, if you find yourself going to the realm of God, go. It's actually going to be beneficial for you. Because that's where you merge.
And is the white light that you say, that expansive white space, is you? And if you are everyone, then that white space is everyone.
That's correct. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. As a matter of fact, everything that's happening now on Earth, me talking to you, seeing ourselves separate, all of that is a dream. It's Maya, it's an illusion. We are dreaming, we're still one with God, and we're dreaming that all of this is happening.
It's amazing.
I know it's a real, it's like finding your noodle very deep, but that's what it is.
It's got to be a divine purpose to it. So there's no use struggling like the rat trying to get out of the hamster wheel and leave his cage. There's no point in that unless we do it in the right way.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like punishment in a way, illusion of 3D challenges and chaos and difficulties, but then that's what we're here to.
A matter of fact, it's not punishment. What it is that it's about us having actual corporal experience, and the experience will become a benefit to God when we return back.
It's amazing concepts.
Yeah. All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness. And endless luminosity. I release all attachment, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Become aware of any false identities that may exist in your core. What perception of yourself is restricting your expansion into complete enlightenment? I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. In the blessed field, I divest myself of my ego. And I accept my identity of being God. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness. And endless luminosity. May all masks, all false identities, all construct created to restrict my true origin, be surrendered into infinity times infinity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you, Pierre. That was so profound. What I realized is that I was emptying out of myself of anything I thought I was. I realized that I've already ascended on some aspect. All I have to do is reconnect to that.
Beautiful.
I don't mean all I have to do.
Yes. Well, related to this, there's one thing I forgot to mention in the class. And I'm teaching a 12-week series related to this. Many of us exist on earth as human beings in the flesh, but our soul are from the stars. And we're starseed souls. And as such, we don't remember in the process of this is why many people on earth have the sense that they don't belong here. What are they doing on earth? It's because they did not originate from here. So I'm taking the class to a journey, 12-week journey to 12 stargates that are located in various quadrants of space, where they are dimensional portal where you will access actual memory of who you were. And who you were in those instances were probably not human, but some other form of existence, as the universe is so populated with all kinds of expression of the divine, but at some other form. And you will actually access through these journeys your actual memory. There will be no medicine. It will be done energetically on Zoom. I just wanted to share that. Okay?
And will that information be on iammonad.com?
Yes, it will be. Yes.
When does it appear?
September 9th.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting.
Yeah, because that's also an important key, because once you begin to know your because a lot of people are lost. They're like, what am I doing here? Why am I in this backwater planet? What's going on? Why? Because in your core you know something else. There's a part of you that remembers things to be better, to be different, and there's a lot of struggle. But when you have the remembrance help you understand your purpose, and it helps in the recovery and in the healing of and in the ultimate divestment.
Very valuable. I'll look into that. Thank you, Pierre.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for listening to us. If you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next week, family. Thank you so much. Love you deeply.
Good night, everyone. Love you.